Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you coming today. As you guys know, our schedule, or those of you that don't know, you're learning. Today the players have off. They'll always have Mondays off. Yesterday's a work day for us. I thought it was a good work day. What we'll traditionally do, and it'll vary a little bit on Sundays, is they'll come in and lift in the morning as we're grading the film. Then we'll meet with them, review the film, go out on the field briefly, do some corrections from a walkthrough standpoint. We'll introduce the next opponent, introduce Alabama, and then we'll have a developmental scrimmage, which we had yesterday for about 25-30 minutes, which was good to see. Good to see our young players, and kind of gives us a chance to move on. It's a good changing point, whether we win or lose the game. So yesterday was a good day. Our goal this week, what we want to get accomplished this week, is simply to improve fundamentally, execute better, and improve our game day coaching and communication. If we can get those three things done by the end of this week, we'll be a better football team. Early preview of Alabama. Alabama's Alabama. It's what you'd expect. They've got amazing depth. They've got great talent. I was counting last night as I was watching the film. I counted 10 D linemen that played in a very competitive game against West Virginia. So none of it was late time when they were ahead. They played a lot of nickel, so anticipate that. They have an All-American Mike linebacker coming back off of his first game suspension, so he's coming back. They've got an All-American corner. You flip over to the other side, they've got 8 returning starters. Sims did a nice job at quarterback. He's mobile. We saw him a little bit at the end of the game last year when we played him when I was at Arkansas. He's a good player, threw the ball well, very talented. Special teams, they're very sound. West Virginia did break one out on them for a house call, and quite honestly, they were in good position. Alabama was. The kid from West Virginia made a great individual effort to make a guy miss and ran down the sideline and made a heck of a play. So we've got a great challenge. I respect Nick Saban. I respect his process. Nick Saban's worried about Alabama the same way that we're worried about FAU. That's our focus this week, is to get better as a football team, get better as a program, and improve on some of the bright spots that you see when you look at the film, and then get the other things corrected from last Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up.
I'm sure you watched the tape on the way home. Mm-hmm. Any first thoughts on that, especially Saturday night? What did you come away with?
Well, the first thing was that it's never as good as you think, or never as bad as you think when you go to put the film on. There are some things that jump out while the score may not reflect it, that you can really build on. The first drive was certainly something to be proud of. Kind of like I said when we talked after the game, Brian, when we found ourselves again there in the fourth quarter, we're finding ourselves, and what are we best at? And varied tempos, varied positions, spreading the ball around. When we do that, we can be a powerful offense, and we proved that to ourselves on Saturday. We got a little behind the chains and got into 3 passes and come out. We dropped some opportunities during that stretch of 3 and outs that if we make a catch here or there, then those drives continue. So there's a lot to build on. Special teams wise, we're proud of the day we had, and there's still a lot to fix. Champ, like I said after the game, came in and hit some really nice balls, and some balls you'd want to have back. But when you come out of a game like that with a new punter, really a new unit, new style that they're being taught with a 42-yard net, that's a big deal. So we're proud of that. Kickoff return obviously was productive, and as you look at that on film, we really could have taken that all the way. Lucky saw the kicker in his lane. Instead of turning the Jets on, he kind of stuttered and gave them a chance to pursue and rally. So we've got great potential there. And defensively, we've just got to get better and more aggressive as far as taking our fits. There's really, at the end of the day, to simplify it, we had some kids trying to do too much. As the game got out of hand, kids were trying to make plays that they shouldn't. And that tends to be a human reaction when we just have to have faith and have each guy do their job, fit their fit, and we're going to be fine. So it was more positive than I would have anticipated when I got on the plane.
What did you specifically see early on as far as the tackling is concerned? You said as it progressed they maybe tried to do a little too much, but what initially went wrong there?
A couple things. We allowed them to have what we refer to as soft edges. Instead of setting a hard edge, getting deep behind the line of scrimmage when we're the contained player, the guy would try and take on a block and play 2 gaps. That creates a soft edge. So they came around the corner a number of times coming downhill, which creates harder tackles for the guys in the back end. And then when those guys, some number of times when they came up to make that challenging tackle, simply ducked their eyes, went to go take their legs out of them. There is a way to tackle a guy low, we just didn't execute that technique.
How much of the tackling issues do you think can be subscribed to, that you really didn't do a lot of tackling in camp, and maybe they were out of practice?
I think honestly the biggest issues were the not setting a hard edge. That created harder tackles than we should have seen. You could certainly say that may have been part of it, but we tackled a lot in spring. We did tackle our guys in drills, so I really put it more on some of the things we could have done better defensively in terms of fitting more aggressive. We get those, we're going to have a lot easier tackles to make. Defense, to me, Lou Holtz says it all the time. When you look at a great defense, then you see any guys that are engaged on blocks are extended and setting hard edges. We didn't do those things as well Saturday night as we can. That'll make us a better defense.
So we're not going to see maybe more physical practices this week heading in Alabama?
We will. We backed off last week in large part because we were coming out of camp. We'll get into a more traditional week for us, which will have us in full pads on Tuesday. We'll have us in uppers on Wednesday and Thursday, and then shells on Friday or spiders. But that's a normal week for us. So we will be in pads later in the week, but that's normal because we're not coming out of camp now.
How do you feel about that 4-2-5? That's what you played pretty much the whole game, right? I mean, did they take advantage of the way you aligned at all?
I don't feel they did take advantage of the way we aligned. I really don't. They had some new plays. They had some things that, first game that they didn't show last year that they executed well. The 4-2-5 is very sound when guys are aggressively hitting their gaps. Really, when they got some momentum on us, it truly came down to guys not aggressively playing one gap versus the other, and 4-2-5 is very, very effective defense, and it's been proven over time, and it wasn't an advantage from a schematic standpoint.
Was there a big difference between maybe the first couple drives and then what happened progressively after that?
From an offensive standpoint, Nate, their offense or our offense?
Your offense.
Really what happened, kind of when we talked after the game, and the tape held true, is they got some momentum against our defense, and got to be 30-point differential. We got into a 2-minute mode a little bit. We were trying to hit passes and move the ball, and as we weren't having success with that part of our passing game, we lost some of the variation that we can show. And you noticed a shift there, end of the third, beginning of the fourth, somewhere in that time frame where we just got back to doing what we can do at FAU. And when we can do things to keep teams off balance, that's when we'll have success. So it was a great learning opportunity for all of us.
Yeah. How much do you attribute the mistakes just to mental mistakes, or just to, like you said, that tactical standpoint where guys are trying to do too much?
I think it's a standpoint where players trying to do too much, some youth, a little bit of a new defense, not completely different structurally than we were doing at the end of last year. At the end of the day, 4-2-5, 4-3, 4 quarters behind it. You're playing the same world. You're living in that world. It's understanding that we're holding guys accountable to fits. When you play a team the level of Nebraska and you play a team the level of Alabama, you're not going to be able to engage a block, play 2 gaps, and throw off without them being able to get downhill. You need to be aggressive in your gap and make your fits when you're playing against that level of competition. So those are the things that we can learn, and that's a great thing about playing against high-level football teams early in the season.
Do you see much or any similarities between Nebraska and Alabama?
Just their physical nature. There is times, now Lane Kiffin, as we all know, has come in and you can feel an NFL flavor to the offense, West Coast style, whatever you want to call it. They're really committed to off-tackle and inside zone. The thing I admire about Alabama is they're committed to what they do, whatever it is, and that starts from the top down. It's taken him time to get there, which I respect that as well. Who they lose to the first year he was there? Louisiana, was it Monroe?
Yeah, Louisiana Monroe.
But what he now has built is a team that has been developed. They know what they're supposed to do fundamentally. They're going to do what they do, and I respect that. And that's what we believe in here. We're going to do what we do. We're figuring out what we do best. It's going to take time to get our fundamentals perfect, but we're making strides and we're making them quickly.
You touched on it a little bit, but what could be the long-term advantage of having to right away get ready for one of the best teams in the country?
Here's the great thing is you close the door on last week. You learn from what we didn't do well. You build on things that we did well. There's no more time to think about it, and because we're getting ready for Alabama. But quite honestly, this week, while we know who we're playing, there's no secrets that they've got 3 great running backs, and Amari Cooper is one of the best wide receivers in the country, and Blake Sims is performing. Everyone knows those things. Our focus this week is on us, and that's what it should be. If we come out and we're a better football team than we were last week, then we've accomplished it. If we win the game because we're that much better, then we've obviously accomplished something amazing. So our focus this week is on FAU.
What's the status on the 2 kids in the end?
They're day-to-day. Fortunately, the x-rays and the MRIs show that they're both going to be back within the next couple weeks, hopefully this week. So I don't foresee them practicing tomorrow. Could see either or both practicing Wednesday, Thursday, or a game day decision. So we're very optimistic.
What about David?
David? He's fine. Yeah, no, he'll be in practice tomorrow. Yeah. And then good news with Marcus Cunningham. Looks like we have a really good shot of him being back this week, which will be nice.
And which ankle is that for him?
I couldn't, honestly. Can't remember if it was right or left, but he'll be fine.
Does it make sense in the long run to not rush those 2 guys back against Alabama?
To me, if they're medically ready and safe and we feel that everything is stable, I think it's the right decision to prepare them to play and then make a game day decision on Saturday. No, I know exactly what you're thinking. We've got a conference schedule coming ahead of us. Could factor into the decision based on where they are Saturday, without a doubt. We want Dijon and we want Quez for the season. So based on where their health is Saturday, that will factor in.
I'm assuming if they're 100% healthy, then it's a go. Do you have a number in mind that maybe below that?
Yeah, those percentages are so, obscure that it's hard to say that. To me, it's going to be about when you're dealing with a shoulder injury. I'll be there when the strength test is done, and I'll want to get a feel for how strong they are. Can they protect themselves? Can they go out there and when they take on some impact, whether it's with the ground or with a person, are they going to be safe where we don't re-injure it or injure it further? That's what the decision will ultimately come down to.
But they don't have to necessarily be 100% in order to go on Saturday.
That's accurate.
What's the biggest positive takeaway you take from the Nebraska game? Warren mentioned how he was very impressed with the maturation of the offensive line, how the game improved. What was the biggest takeaway of the game?
Well, the other thing that that I am proud of is we only had 3 penalties. We had no turnovers, while Nebraska did miss 2 opportunities. They showed a new coverage, and Greg threw a ball that they could have intercepted, but they dropped it, and we had a ball on the ground late with Jay Warren when we were driving down the field. But you're looking at no turnovers, 3 penalties, good special teams. Those are some pretty important foundation type things to build a program around. Now, as we continue to be more aggressive and get better with what we're doing, we have a chance to be a dangerous football team quicker than people might expect based on the score.
It sounded like you're talking about setting the edges. That generally falls on the defensive ends, right?
No, because oftentimes when you're seeing pullers come around, defensive ends often fit inside those pullers. So you're looking at a nickel and or a safety and or even sometimes a Mike backer, depending on the formation. Without getting too technical, if you have 3 wide receivers out, sometimes your Mike linebacker is the guy that's setting the edge on an outside play. So it truly does vary, and then there's times where the D-end is called in specific calls to set an edge. So it goes all the way across the entire unit with the exception of D-tackles.
And those mistakes that you saw about not seeing that they were made by all those positions.
At times, it actually was at times. And again, it was guys, there was not a lack of understanding, which this is the encouraging part. They knew they had the edge. We just need them to set the edge more aggressively. They wanted to help the football team. Common reaction at all levels, from the NFL on down to Pee Wee. When things aren't going well, I'm going to try and help the football team by playing both sides of this blocker instead of I'm going to go get up here, I'm going to set this edge and bring it back to my pursuit. So we had some really, really great learning opportunities yesterday when we watched the film, and I'm encouraged that we'll be a better football team now.
So it doesn't sound like you're going to make any real schematic changes.
Don't see any major schematic changes. I am in no way, shape, or form in any kind of panic mode. There will be some kids that rotated in that played well that could see more playing time. Those things could show themselves as we get ready for this game, but I have all the confidence in the world in what we do. We'll just continue to get better at it.
Did the game feel any different being that you're the guy now, the head coach? Was that a bit different going into game day?
There was a couple differences when I walked out for pregame warmups. It was odd not having a specific group that I was instructing. Didn't quite know the protocol and wanted to go say hello to Coach Pelini, but I figured it out. You know, and really, I think where you find out what you're about is when you go into a Sunday after a tough game. And we are all about daily improvement. And when you talk about, it's not just a hashtag or a catchphrase on a media guide. We want to talk what win today is about. We won yesterday. So far we're winning today. We had a 7:30 required study hall on Labor Day when the kids don't have class and everyone was there 15 minutes early. Those are indicators. Those are what build programs. Because now I don't have to worry about that. I can worry about helping prepare our football team. So those things, feeling those things, being a head coach yesterday, while it was challenging because we came off of a tough game, I'm excited about what we got done yesterday.
What do you think of that pass game of the game?
You know what? I went right to him, and before I even asked him about it, he said to me that that was not a play that was supposed to happen. So whatever communication happened there, I've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I don't have time to worry about it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure.
I know when I was growing up, I'd see like the baseball plays of the week. I would always be bummed if it was against my team.
It was an amazing play.
Yeah.
It was, you know, when you're in that moment, I forget what the score was, but they were having success. And I saw the play. I saw that he caught it, and he went to review. And I was, guys, get your next call ready because he made that catch. It was their day.
What about, the thing about that play though, it's going to live on throughout the year. We're going to see it over and over. Does it hurt you every time you see it, or I mean?
You know what, Chuck? We're going to get better as a football team, and our logo is on ESPN. Right? I'm good. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.